Welcome to Deep End Mastery. This is part 2 where we're going to take the same 8 movements that we just covered in part 1 in the shallow end, only we're going to do those exact same movements now in the deep end. Before we get started, it is absolutely essential that you never swim in deep water alone. Always ensure that you have someone with you that is capable of saving your life should anything happen. Not that we plan on it, but it's always great to have that extra layer of protection anytime we're in water, let alone practicing, for some of you, the first time in deep water. One last thing before we begin, make sure that you go through the self-check-in process before every single repetition that you are going to complete in our deep end. This is absolutely mandatory. We never want to force any of our movements go beyond a state of 100% comfort. So always ensure that you rate yourself a 5 before continuing on to each respective exercise. If you have any questions on what I'm talking about and what the self-check-in method is, please revert back to Shallow End Mastery where we cover all of this at great detail. Now, before we begin our 8 deep water exercises, I want you to practice a safe water entry, and that looks like this.
As you begin your safe water entry, I want both hands on the ladder and for you to turn yourself so that your back is facing the water as you begin to lower yourself down using the steps. And in example number 2, this is what we do not want to do. We do not want to face the water as we begin climbing down the steps. We always want to have our back turned towards the water first before lowering ourselves down into the water.
Now, before you begin your 8 exercises in the deep end, at the beginning of every single swim session, I want you to begin with a simple movement called wall walks. And this just helps warm your body up to the water and gain necessary exposure to the deep end before we begin those exercises, as I just mentioned. Wall walks are a very simple movement. All we're gonna do is have our hands above the water on the gutter or on the top of the pool, and we're gonna bring our feet up to meet on the wall as well. And then we're just going to start to move our hands side to side as we crawl from the shallow end of the water to the deep end of the water so that we can gain that necessary amount of exposure in the deep end. Maybe we stay there for about 30 seconds, longer if you're comfortable, before wall walking back to the shallow end. And that exercise looks like this.
And as I mentioned, you want to put both hands firmly onto the gutter and then begin moving from the shallow end down towards the deep end, as long as you're comfortable and curious about doing this. Move slowly and with intention the entire way. Once you reach water that you're not capable of standing up in, I want you just to pause and acclimate. Check in with yourself, notice how you're feeling, and just spend some time here. And then once you've spent around 30 seconds, start moving back towards the shallow end.
Exercise number 1 in the deep end is our vertical wall floats holding onto the wall. That exercise looks like this.
And we're going to begin our vertical wall float just by re-showing our entry into the water. Remember, take your time, pause at every step. Make sure you feel 100% confident before moving further down into the deep water. To begin our vertical wall float, have both hands firmly on the gutter. Take a deep diaphragmatic breath. Slowly lean our head back. And then I want you to feel the sensation of our body moving up and down in the water as we inhale and exhale. Feel the support of the water really push you up and hold you as you're taking a deep breath. I would love to see you spend somewhere between 15 and 30 seconds in this position, maintaining a complete state of relaxation before standing up and completing the movement.
Exercise number 2, we're going back to our vertical wall float, only this time I want you to turn to the side and briefly let go of the wall so that you can feel what it feels like to be 100% weightless and have the water support you and begin holding you up. That exercise looks like this.
To begin this movement, place one arm straight out to your side like a T. Slowly let your legs leave the wall. Take a deep breath and feel the support of the water holding you up before slowly releasing your hand from the wall, but keeping it right there near the gutter so you know you can grab back onto it at any point. Just relax. Feel that support of the water before grabbing back on and pulling yourself back into the wall.
Exercise number 3, we're gonna gently push off of the wall so that we create a little bit of separation between our body and the wall. And we're gonna begin using our arms to propel ourselves in a vertical float back to the wall. That exercise looks like this. Exercise number 4 is our basketball bob. Now, when we're doing this in the deep end, I want you to begin by turning yourself to the side before going into the basketball bob. And that exercise looks like this.
To begin the basketball bob movement, turn yourself to the side before taking a deep breath, slowly lowering your face into the water. Bring your knees up to your chest and start to tuck into the basketball bob movement. Hold this position for as long as is comfortable for you before grabbing back onto the wall and standing back up.
Exercise number 5, we're gonna create some distance between ourselves and the wall by gently pushing off of the wall before going into our basketball bob and opening back up to then propel ourselves forward back to the wall. And that exercise looks like this.
And we will begin this movement by taking a deep breath before gently pushing yourself backwards off of the wall, tucking into our basketball bob position before opening our body back up by bringing our arms up to the surface and our legs up to the surface and pulling our arms down to our side gently and peacefully. Really trying to feel the complete support of the water holding us up the entire time.
Exercise number 6 is our chair bob. Now, as we first do this movement, I would like you to turn to the side, and if you can, do so facing an additional wall if at all possible. That just gives you an extra element of safety and feeling of comfort. That exercise looks like this.
And we begin this movement by taking a deep diaphragmatic breath, lifting our knees up into a chair-like position before gently letting go of the wall. And we're gonna push ourselves under the water before turning our palms in the opposite direction and pushing ourselves back up to the surface. The goal of this exercise is to get comfortable with this movement and submerging ourselves under the water before returning back up to get a fresh breath. Do this for 5 to 10 times before returning back to the wall and standing back up.
Exercise number 7 is our back float. Just like some of the previous exercises, when we're first beginning this movement, I would like you to turn to the side before going into your back float, just for an added element of safety, knowing that the wall is right there for your support. That exercise looks like this.
And we'll begin our back float by being parallel to the wall, taking a deep breath, slowly leaning back so our eyes are looking slightly behind us, finding our body's natural back floating position. If you are more comfortable keeping your hand on the wall or the gutter, please do so. But if you're curious and confident to let go, I invite you to do that as well. I'd like you to spend 15 to 30 seconds in this position before pulling yourself back into the wall and standing back up.
Exercise number 8 is the reversal. I would like you to begin by turning yourself sideways and practicing this movement a number of times until you are 100% comfortable doing this movement with the wall by our side. From there, you can progress by pushing yourself off the wall and creating some distance, which will help you complete this movement by pulling yourself back into the wall to safety. That exercise looks like this.
We will begin the reversal movement by opening up our body to be parallel with the wall. Take a deep breath, slowly lean back to be in our back float position before looking towards our toes, dipping our head down into the water, curling up into our basketball bob, allowing our hand to release from the wall. We then open back up, bringing our arms and legs back up to the surface and doing one full pull before grabbing back onto the wall and standing back up. And once you have practiced that a minimum of 5 to 10 times, I invite you to go on to part 2 of our reversal, where we push off the wall into our back float, moving into open water before again looking down at our toes, curling up into our basketball bob before unfolding, bringing our arms and legs back up to the surface of the water and gently pulling our arms down to the side so that we can return back to the wall before standing back up.
Thank you so much for joining me in this step-by-step deep water video. If you need any additional support, make sure to join our community by clicking on the link in the description below. And as always, if you found this video helpful, support our channel by liking and subscribing to the page. I can't wait to see you in the next one.